Welcome to Discussions with the Writer Fred, right here at Black Video News in San Antonio, Texas. We are the voice of the Black community in this city. I have a long history, and it's close to my heart for unions. My father was the president of the union in the postal system in Pasadena, California. And so when I moved here to San Antonio, to Texas, I found it very discouraging that they have what they call a right to work state, which tries to infringe upon the union's ability to organize here in the state. So I decided this week I would dedicate my show to talking about the unions with a union man. Very prominent union man right here in San Antonio, Mr. Bob Comeaux. Bob, welcome to Discussions with the Writer Fred.
Thank you very much. I'm very, very happy to be here.
Thank you. Yeah. Bob has been a union organizer for over 40 years with AFL-CIO and with the Teachers Union. So we'll get right into our discussions, Bob. And what is the state? I know there's been a movement, I don't know if it's all nationwide, but I know here, to try to discount or put down the importance of unions. And you think about it, Bob, it's the unions built the middle class in this country. It's amazing. And now they're trying, I guess it's the money people are trying to walk away from the unions. But can you tell us what is happening with the unions today?
Yeah. Well, President Biden is one of the best friends that unions have had. Every speech he has, he talks about what you just said, about unions building the middle class. Mm-hmm. And you know, in the 1930s, President Roosevelt passed the Wagner Act, which gave unions the right to organize. But basically, every bit of legislation since that time has taken away rights from unions.
So slowly
eroding what we worked to build. Just like you see it in other movements, they're trying to strip away voting rights and all these types of things.
Yes.
So whenever the little guy is able to achieve something, the big guy wants to take it away and take it back to the way it was before. So it's nothing new, but it's something that we have to deal with. Now, about 2 weeks ago, Labor here in San Antonio had our biggest block walk for our labor endorsed candidates in our history.
Oh, okay.
We had 40 candidates who walked with us.
Oh, great.
And so we were knocking on the door with a candidate and with a union person with them. And so the following Monday, there were something like 1,000 people were able to go to work and say, I had a candidate knock on my door for the first time.
Oh,
because
that's great.
they were there and walking with us. We got a very, very good response. I think our members are going to turn out in good numbers.
Who in our district marched with you? Did Tommy march with you?
Tommy Calvert was there, commissioner from Precinct 4. Susan Corbel, the commissioner candidate in Commissioner Precinct 3, was with us. The district attorney was with us. Peter Sakai was with us. A lot of people.
Trish DeBerry wasn't there.
No, Quitz DeBerry. Quitz DeBerry? No, Quitz DeBerry was not with us. Okay. And I've known her, and I've worked with her on a lot of campaigns. Okay. But she is not the person for Bexar County, let me tell you. I've worked with her, and nice person, but not the person. You know, she had a job, a 4-year job that she ran for and got elected to. And 11 months into that job, she quit. That's why I call her Quitz DeBerry.
Okay.
And so she's an apprentice, and she didn't even have a chance to really learn what the job was, but she wanted to opt out and to go for more money, more prestige, more power. Mm-hmm. And so if she gets elected to this position, what's going to keep her from wanting to run for Congress or Senate or something else? Move on, because it has more power and more money.
Yeah. Did Barbara march with y'all?
Barbara was not with us.
She was?
She was not with us. We were working with labor endorsed candidates, and
she's not a labor endorsed
She was
candidate?
not a labor endorsed candidate, and different unions. It takes 2/3 of the people to do the endorsement, and there were some unions that had issues with her on one bill or another.
Can you tell us what those bills were?
Well,
do you know?
Mostly it has to do with the charter schools and the siphoning off of money from the public school system.
Schools?
Yes.
Okay. So what's the union's position on that?
Well, for example, right now, Governor Abbott wants to bring about school vouchers. And school vouchers is only a scheme to take money away from the public school system, the neighborhood schools that we all know about, take money away from that and put it in the hands of the wealthy people who send their, paying $25,000, $30,000 a year for their sons or daughters to go to an elite school, where they don't have the same rules and regulations as the rest of the schools. And so
That's right. Yeah.
labor, when Samuel Gompers was the founder of the AFL, he said, we want more schoolhouses and less jails.
Yes.
And so
yeah.
labor has been a strong proponent for public school system for our entire existence. But taking away, it's just like we said earlier, we build a system and then they want to slowly erode
tear
it,
it away.
slowly erode
yeah.
it. And so we strongly support one strong public education system without any kind of deterioration of it. And that's what we see happening as money gets siphoned off with no accountability. There's no elected school board in these other
charter schools.
Some of these charter schools come out of other states. And so
Ideal,
how do you elect?
that comes up from somewhere else, doesn't Ideal?
Idea. They're kind of in multiple states. I don't know very exactly how they're created, but they had that big scandal a few years ago when they wanted to buy a private jet plane. They wanted to have a box at the Spurs.
Really?
They wanted to have all these types of things, and they tried to justify it, saying it's a reward for our teachers or whatever. But they're running it like corporations, and public school system is for the benefit of the kids and the parents of those kids, and for society as a whole, and not just for the private benefit of those individuals.
Well, that was a dilemma. Well, I think Barbara's in District 120.
Yes.
If you didn't endorse her, did you endorse her opponent, Payne?
It takes 2/3 of the delegates to endorse a candidate for labor. If we don't endorse, the individual unions are able to endorse whoever they want to.
Okay.
I don't believe there are any unions that endorsed her opponent.
Oh, okay.
We're not opposed to her. We're not asking people to vote against her.
Okay.
We're just saying that there was not 2/3 of the votes in order to endorse her.
Okay, and you did say you endorsed Peter Sakai
We did endorse Peter Sakai. That was, I think, a unanimous endorsement.
and Tommy Calvert.
And Tommy Calvert was unanimous as well. Well, we're just so proud of the job that he has done for 8 years now.
Has it been 8 years?
I believe it's been 8 years.
Wow. I remember when he first ran against Lamar Smith in his district.
Oh, that was when he was running for Congress.
Congress, yeah.
Yes.
I was on the bus with him. I was saying to TC, why is he doing this?
Yes.
I mean, we're out in Bernie.
Yeah.
trying to get some people to vote for a Democrat.
I think when you look at the career, all from the day he was born to now, and look at his accomplishments, it's just been such a phenomenal.
Yeah. Do you see him moving on to higher office?
I think he's well positioned to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, what are some of the unions here in San Antonio? The AFL-CIO is here.
Yes.
Teamsters.
The Teamsters are here. Probably the strongest union is the teachers union.
Okay.
Because you have 2,000 in the San Antonio school district. You have several thousand in North Side, and also Northeast. So when you put them all together, that's probably, in the aggregate, the largest unions. But you have the communication workers, the postal clerks, the letter carriers.
Yes, my father.
Yeah, and all the building trades, the plumbers, the pipe fitters, the electricians, the sheet metal workers. So there's unions in all these crafts.
Yeah.
The government employees, my goodness, there's so many of them in town. The state, county, municipal employees, state employees with the Texas State Employees Union. So many different unions, and like I said, they were all knocking on doors a couple of weeks ago. We're doing it again this Saturday.
Oh, you are?
We are.
Yeah. And you're going to have the candidates with you again?
There'll be some candidates this week, but the one that we did 2 weeks ago was the largest that we've ever done. Mm-hmm. We had about 125 people knocking on doors.
And so you're going to be out campaigning for
all of our endorsed candidates. We'll be handing out materials and encouraging them to vote early, because early voting is taking place right now.
Right. And I assume you're backing Cuellar.
Cuellar, again, was not an endorsed candidate.
Okay.
Okay. So
Why?
unions had, because he did not there was not 2/3 vote. No, we don't endorse you. That's a federal election, and there's 2 central labor councils, so that he would have been endorsed at the state level.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Again, it takes 2/3. Now, I was at a meeting with him recently, and people at that meeting were all going to be voting for him. You know, he does not have a perfect labor voting record, but it's far better voting record than his opponent would ever have.
Okay.
So, you know, we believe in compromise when necessary.
Okay.
And if I were in his district, I'd be voting for him.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Bob, we're going to take a break here, but when we come back, you know, I'd like to get from you all your wisdom about what's happening politically in this country, because we're really in a bad situation. And so we're going to take a break. We'll come back. We'll address that.
Very good.
This is Discussion with the Writer Fred right here at Black Video News in San Antonio, Texas. We'll be right back with you.
Nothing to do this week? Don't miss another event. Go to blacksinsanantonio.com for our event calendar. The home of the largest business directory in San Antonio with an African American focus. Sign up today for our weekly e-blast and text message alerts. Help us make this a better community. Connect, empower, grow.
Hello, this is Cornell with Frost Bank.
Hi there, this is Terry with Frost.
Good evening, this is Franklin.
This is Robert with Frost.
Hello, this is Rosemary with Frost Bank.
Welcome back to Discussion with the Writer Fred right here at Black Video News in San Antonio, Texas. And again, I'm going to keep saying it over and over again. We are the voice of the Black community right here in this city. And again, I'm here with Mr. Bob, and he's talking about the unions, but we're going to switch over a little bit and talk about politics. Bob, can you tell us, you know, our country is in a real mess. I don't think in all my years I've followed politics, I've ever seen it this bad. And the split it's getting worse. So give us your wisdom on what's happening not only statewide, but national in politics today.
Well, one of the things that disturbs me is the fact that the former president and his followers continue to deny the election results of 2020. There was a clear-cut victory for President Joe Biden, and yet they're doing such terrible things to democratic principles in our country, to the extent that I know people who will refuse to be an election judge because of the threats to our democracy. Right. And what's on the ballot, the election is taking place right now. Right down the street, you can go vote. Yeah. The election taking place right now. And what's on the ballot is our very democracy. Because there are some people who would sacrifice our democracy for their political expediency. And so that concerns me a great. I hope to encourage everybody to get out and vote to protect those democratic principles. And there are people who are running for office who do not share those principles. I wish everybody, before you vote, would ask the candidates, do you agree with the election results of 2020, or are you an election denier? Are you saying that it was stolen? Because if you believe it was stolen, that you have no place being in elected office, in my opinion. Now, a lot of the people in the Republican Party here in Bexar County are among those people who believe that the election was stolen. They have selected a person in County Commissioner Precinct 3 to be the person that they put on the ballot. And that person used to work for Mike Pompeo. He is
Secretary of State Pompeo.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, and he is a person who is supported by the Club for Growth. And if you look at the Club for Growth, they're the people who put in Ted Cruz and Chip Roy and people like that who deny the election results. And you may have heard this saying a number of years ago when this guy said that he wanted to drown government in a bathtub. Remember that?
Yes.
Is that the person we want on county commissioner court? Somebody who's going to be an obstructionist, who's going to be opposed to progress. We have 1 million people moving to San Antonio in the next 20 years.
Really?
1 million people. And I lived in Houston when they would say the same thing, that we're going to double our size in 20 years. And I was a denier. I did not think that was going to happen, but I saw it happen in less than 20 years.
Yeah.
And now when these people come to San Antonio, they're going to bring their cars and their boats and their trailers and their pickups and all that. So where are we going to do? Are we going to do like Houston? And I was just on the Katy Freeway yesterday, where they have 26 lanes wide when you add all of the lanes together.
Wow.
26 lanes, the biggest in the world. Are
And
we
they're
going
all
to do that
trying-
here in San Antonio? Or are we going to find some smarter way of moving people around? And to give you an example, in 2020 on the ballot in San Antonio was a 1/8 cent sales tax for VIA to recapture what should have been theirs all along. 1/8 cent sales tax. And for the first 5 years, it goes to the mayor's workforce development plan. And then in January of 2026, it will go to VIA. Because we passed that, we are getting $158 million,
Oh, wow.
$158 million of our tax dollars coming back to us to help our transportation projects. Now, Trish DeBerry opposed that 1/8 cent sales tax.
Oh.
She opposed it. Clayton Perry opposed that 1/8 cent. The Republican Party opposed it. And despite the fact that they opposed it, we got 68% of the citizens voting in favor of VIA's position. And so as a result of that, we're getting a lot of federal money coming back to us. Also, because President Biden passed the Inflation Reduction Act without any support from Republicans, we're getting $3 million a year for several years to help pay for our compressed natural gas buses.
Now you say not a Republican on the House side or the Senate side?
I don't believe there was a single vote. I don't believe there's a single vote in favor of the IRA. I may be wrong, but check me on that. But I believe that's correct. Now, just think what we could do if there's bipartisan support for these programs. These programs are needed. They're needed. And it's our money coming back to us, and yet the other side is opposing.
Why would they oppose an inflation reduction? Is it all politics?
It's all politics. They do not want to give any kind of success to our president. That's the nature of the politics in our country today, is that I'm not going to vote for something. I don't care how good it is. I don't care if I voted for it or I introduced it last year. I'm not going to vote for it if it gives you any credit. That is a sad state of affairs for our country.
That's much like when McConnell said that we're going to make sure Obama is not
Is a one-term
president.
Yeah, he wasn't successful at that, was
No,
he?
he wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, it's been going on for a while, and it needs to end. We need to be able to work together, in harmony. And as a labor rep, when I was able to organize a chain of grocery stores or the San Antonio Zoo or whatever, because it is organized with the union I used to work for. And it was a challenge. There were the zoo staff was saying don't vote for it. And the zoo workers were saying I'm voting for it, and they voted for it. Well, then we have to sit down and try to work out the details of a contract, and we did it, and that was 40 years ago. And there's been no work stoppage whatsoever in 40 years. It can be done. It can be done if people of goodwill sit down and work together.
Yeah. Is the mayor a strong union supporter?
The mayor has been a great friend to labor.
Okay.
He has been a great friend. In fact, on Labor Day, we dedicated Labor Plaza downtown, where a number of people, including former Councilman Mario Salas, who's a strong union man, he was honored at that, have some inscriptions from him. And we were real pleased to have that honoring of the work that we do every day.
If you, I don't want to see it happen, but if Abbott is reelected, do you think the unions can make any inroad? Based on what you're saying, we need to come together and work together. Do you think the unions will be able to make any inroads with the Republican legislature up there and the Republican governor?
Well, we've had Republican control of the legislature and everything in Texas for 20 plus years. And we've made a lot more progress under Ann Richards than we did under Greg Abbott, I can tell you.
Okay.
But I mean, when Kroger shut down in town, that was a union store. But Ann Richards was here with resources to help the people who were displaced to get on their feet again. That's the benefit of having somebody who understands working folks, as opposed to a Greg Abbott who would not lift a finger to help us.
Do you think that he'll be able to do anything to make any inroads? It sounds like to me you're saying nothing's going to get done. But let me turn it in another direction. O'Rourke wins. He's got a Republican legislature. What gets done?
Well, O'Rourke is a very, very strong persona. I mean, he is somebody who can electrify the folks. And I think you would see a totally different mindset of people. He would be somebody who says, what can I do to help you, not what can I do to stab you in the back? And Greg Abbott has been that type of a governor. If labor wants something, he generally wants to turn his back on it.
But what's the chances that he can work in a positive to get something done in the state with, I think it's Paxton and the Republicans in the state legislature?
Well, no doubt there'll be pushback. But one issue, for example, is there's not a cost of living adjustment for the school employees in their retirement fund or the state employees in the retirement fund. And most of them have not had an increase in over 20 years. Now, every once in a while, they'll throw them, right before election, they'll throw them a 13th check, but that's not the equivalent of having something that meets with inflation. And I know the teachers are organizing, the retired state employees are organizing, and there's I think a $27 billion surplus in the state treasury. So now is the time for them to be able to bring this forward and say, we're the ones who taught the kids. We're the ones who helped build what is Texas. And it's time for you to honor the work that we did and to give us a decent cost of living adjustment.
Okay, thank you. We'll take another break. When we come back, I want to get your wisdom on talking to our viewers about the importance of voting. We'll be right back with discussion with writer Fred right here at Black Video News.
Nothing to do this week? Don't miss another event. Go to blacksinsanantonio.com for our event calendar. The home of the largest business directory in San Antonio with an African American focus. Sign up today for our weekly e-blast and text message alerts. Help us make this a better community. Connect, empower, grow.
Welcome back to discussion with the writer Fred right here at Black Video News and with my guest Bob from the unions, a union man.
Union man.
Bob, you're a wise man, okay? You got that Socrates kind of look to you, that there's wisdom pouring out all the time. So tell our viewers, from your point of view, what's the importance of voting? What does it mean to the general public, even with the fact that we talked earlier about the influence of money and how it's dominating our politics? Why should I go out and vote?
Well, I tell people, if you're happy with the way things are going with our government, if you're happy with things going down in your life, with the cost of living going up and things of this nature, then you don't need to go out and vote. You're happy, you're content. But I don't know anybody who fits that mold. There are so many things where our country is failing its citizens. And the only way to change that is to go out there, be proactive, and look at who's running and support the candidates that best meet your needs. You have some candidates that want to take us backwards, and you have a lot of candidates who are spending a lot of time to take us forward and have very, very good ideas. But their good ideas are not worth anything unless they're elected. They cannot work for us unless we first work for them and get them elected. And that's why I'm inviting everybody to join me at the polls. In fact, I mean, I voted 2 weeks ago by mail. I think it's a very, very safe, as long as you follow the directions, it's a safe way of voting. But early voting is taking place from now till the 4th of November. There are a lot of different locations to vote. You can call the elections office and find out where the closest site is to you. Stand in line if it's necessary. I mean, I go way, way back to the time when the voting was not allowed for many, many people. And we had to go into the streets and fight for the right to vote. And we were able to win those battles, but they've been slowly but surely taking away the rights ever since that time. And we've got to reclaim what our right is in this country.
Do you think they're going to win with this voter suppression? Do you think they're going to win? Are we going to go backwards in this country?
Well, I certainly hope not. Let me tell you that 4 years ago in the last election, that was an off-year election, there were 58,000 more Democrats in Bexar County who voted a straight party ticket than Republicans. 58,000. So what do? They take away our right to vote a straight party ticket. That's voter suppression.
Yeah, that is.
And so voters, when you go to the polls, make sure you start at the top and go all the way down to the bottom of the ballot. You'll start with Beto O'Rourke at the top, and you'll go down past Tommy Calvert, past Susan Carble for county commissioner, depending on what district you're in. But you have to vote straight down the ballot because you can't just push one lever like you did before. So have the patience and have the ability to do that. If you need assistance, ask the voting clerk. I have difficulty with my hand since an accident, but if you need assistance, they will help you. And so don't let them speed you up. Stay in there as long as necessary to vote from the State House to the courthouse. It's all important. They're all important positions.
And how important is it that we have Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House, which means that the Democrats hold on to the House and we don't get that idiot Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House?
Republicans are talking about doing away with Social Security and Medicare. If we lose the House of Representatives, we can lose things that took years and years and years to build up. There's an old saying that it takes craftsmen weeks and weeks to build a barn, but a jackass can knock it down in a short period of time. We don't want that to happen. You know, we want to build on what we have built, improve on what we've built. Here in Texas, they don't have Medicaid for hundreds of thousands of kids.
Isn't that pathetic?
You know, one of the richest states in the world, and we don't provide health care for some of the neediest people.
Yeah.
That is a sin and a shame that's the way it is here. But under Greg Abbott and the Republicans, they would not even bring it to the floor for a vote. Now, we need to change that. And the only way we change it is to vote for those people and work for those people who will work for us.
How important is it that Warnock beat Herschel Walker?
What a sad candidate Herschel Walker is. He may have been a great football player, but he is not a very good candidate. And he is a puppet. Other people are pulling his strings.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes he even flubs the script that they wrote for him. But Reverend Warnock has done a phenomenal job. And let me tell you that we would not have had the successes, President Biden would not have had the successes, were it not have been for the organizing ability of Stacey Abrams.
Okay.
If it weren't for Stacey Abrams, we would not have Warnock, we would not have Ossoff, we would not have any of the legislation that is passed in this Congress. Yeah. And so she is a true hero, and she needs to be recognized for that. And I sure hope, the voters are coming out in Georgia.
Yeah, they are.
They are turning people out in record numbers, and we need to do that here in Bexar County and in Texas. And so if you don't live in Georgia and you can't vote for Stacey Abrams or Reverend Warnock, you can come out and vote for Peter Sakai and for Beto O'Rourke and for all the other candidates that are going to work for you.
And finally, what's the prospects of 2024 being a repeat of 2020, Biden versus Trump?
Well, 2024 is a long way away. A lot depends on what happens in 2022 in the elections to see whether or not Donald Trump will fade from the earth, or whether or not his candidates will win and they'll be in control of the election process in their own state. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope people realize that democracy is on the line, and that I hope that they will say we're gonna. Yeah, we fought wars over this. We fought a civil war, and we want to make sure that the election process, the integrity of the election process remains intact, and that we don't turn it over to people who want to say, regardless of how you vote, we're going to make the decision on who got elected.
Okay. Any final words?
I just appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I hope that I hope to see you at the victory parties.
Okay. Well, thank you, Bob, for being a guest on Discussion with the Writer Fred.
I sure appreciate it. Thank you
I
very
think
much.
your information has been very valuable to our viewers. So thank you.
Very good.
This is Discussion with the Writer Fred, telling our story our way.